So for this project, when we were approached to design this home, due to the confined nature of the site, we actually looked away from a singular, externally form-driven response. Instead, to define this building's identity, we looked to create a strength to the interior spaces to create a unique personality. The site is located in a leafy pocket of Ruskin Street in Elwood, located in a heritage overlay defined by a series of Edwardian houses. I suppose one of the key issues with this site was sight lines to the property from across the road, which limited any extent of usable two-storey construction from a planning perspective. The client also, though, had the benefit of a rear laneway access, which we could explore. One of the clients was actually the daughter of a past client of ours from 20 years ago. So we had the unique opportunity of designing for the next generation of our clients, which was quite exciting. They had a young family and wanted to design a home that could fuel them as they got older, and a home that could be spatially efficient due to the modest site area. The concept was really about exploring how particular materials, details, and architectural gestures can define a home and give it its own distinct identity without having to rely on a form-driven response. With the restrictions of a small yet narrow triangulating block and sightline issues essentially eliminating a two-storey extension, we needed to come up with a single ground floor response. Retaining the key front rooms of the original buildings, we housed the master bedroom and kids' bedrooms, bathrooms, and then demolishing the rear to allow for a new consolidated floor plan of study spaces and main living, kitchen and dining areas. With the benefit of the rear laneway access, we were able to create a rear studio or guest room where both the front and the rear buildings took advantage of the central courtyard so everyone could look at their own building themselves. The result is very simplified, hefty proportioned black Accoya stained roof form, which sits almost benignly against the existing red brick Edwardian section of the house. The extension is less about the form itself, but about the spaces and moments this roof form creates. With the existing part of the building, we look to unify the detailing, reutilising details where appropriate, and instead of reproducing, we've referenced new details to create a more consolidated, cohesive whole. There was an existing pressed metal ceiling in the front room, and although in disrepair, we took this and recasted it as a plaster replacement, which enabled us to run this ceiling detail throughout all the key existing front rooms of the house as a singular ceiling detail. Also made were custom timber air conditioning vents as well. In lieu of the reproduction skirtings and architraves, a custom dovetail polished blackwood timber skirting was designed, with minimal detailing referencing the more decorative timber usually associated with period homes, but with a more contemporary feel to them. The existing fireplaces were retained, but bold anchored use of green Japanese glazed tiles allowed us to reference a traditional tiled fireplace, but it also allowed us the opportunity to introduce a tile element which could be used throughout. All existing sections of the house were painted in a crisp white, and that allowed for a clean break of something more substantial and grounded for the extension. Where the existing portion of the house is white, the rear takes on a more enveloping, richer feel. Consciously, no white was used for this area. All the walls and ceilings are painted in a sand texture mineral paint in a eucalyptus tone. The colours in sand adding a softness and warmth and a unique play of light throughout the day, and especially at night with artificial lamp lighting. The unique colour feeling at times either uplifting and relaxing when you get the light and you get the sage tones, and then at other times it's more brooding and moody with the darker forest green hues, and not shying away from controlled use of colour, even the linen curtains featuring deeper olive tones. The limed blackwood flooring used in the existing house for its richness is also used to unify the entire house for the extension. Although one large living kitchen and dining space, to make use of the modest room proportions, the kitchen and dining are elevated to match the existing house floor level to provide an implied separation to the living area 3 steps down to minimise the busyness that these three functions can sometimes present in open plan living. The kitchen uses a rich walnut veneer for the joinery and large singular block forms, with the key element being the tile bench tops. Not only as a marker referencing the front fireplace tiles, the rich green tiles with their colour and application are a contemporary take on the tile bench top that graced many of the houses in the 70s. It's intended to be playful, youthful, relaxed, and it gives an unassuming and unpretentious feel to this extension. There is a layered busyness and rhythm which adds an intensity to this rear room. We also played with the cross section of this rear living space, stepping down into the living area to increase the volume of the space. It creates an implied separation to the kitchen and dining area, but also creates the sensation of a sunken living room. All landscaping comes up to large, oversized timber windows cocooning the space, and a series of one-off gestures reveal the beauty in these singular, almost imperfect architectural elements. As seen in the corner of the living room, it's defined by these irregular, organic profiled cypress columns, craned in on site in singular pieces, shining focus on the finely detailed carpentry skills to house in the window frames. Similarly, the seemingly relaxed placement of a roughly hewn granite stepping stone provides access to the rear wraparound ledge and step which leads to the courtyard. The house celebrates a series of gestures and moments breaking from the rigour of the surrounding detailing and architectural elements. Similar to the rhythm by the rich green fireplace tiles and kitchen tiles, a singular granite has been selected for the bathrooms, but custom sizes and differing bends and terracotta grout keep this house from ever feeling static. A complete holistic approach was allowed for with the styling of this project, allowing for us to select furniture, artwork, as well as landscape design for the project. All items are selected, not pointing to any particular style, but more about creating an overall feel. Where appropriate, or where a proprietary item didn't exist, we purpose designed a series of items to add a layered quality to the spaces. From large objects such as a custom round outdoor concrete dining table, to smaller items such as the timber wall lights with Japanese kimono silk shades, and even the standalone brass entry shelf to provide areas for keys. So this house, it's very much, I suppose, the sum of its parts. It's not defined by any particular style or singular form or material, but instead it's very much about celebrating a layered quality of different moments and vignettes to create a whole. Thank you.